we are joined now by Denny Hamlin, driver of the number 11 FedEx Express Toyota. Denny, you've come close to winning here at Sonoma, and you already have a win at Watkins Glen under your belt. How do those experiences impact your approach for Sunday?
You have good notes. You got good information that you've had over the years that you've raced at these courses. But yeah, I'd love to win at this racetrack. It's such a fun course to run on, and obviously coming real close over the last couple of years. So yeah, looking forward to the challenge, and hopefully if we can qualify well, I think we'll have a really good day.
All right, we'll open it up for questions. Start in the back with PRN.
Mark Garrow, PRN. Denny, assess your season to this point. You've had some great runs, and you've had some stuff that didn't go your way. How do you average it all out, or what do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that at worst, any weekend, we've been an 8th place car, and at best, I think we've been like a 2nd, 3rd place car. Certainly the results, I don't believe shows the speed that we actually do have. So I'm pretty confident the second half of the year we're going to be pretty strong. I feel like we've really made gains over the last month or so. I'd like to, get inside the top 5 in points before the regular season, and obviously win a couple races. That's a goal that I think is achievable in the next 10 weeks or so.
Surprised by the Stewart-Haas sort of domination of this opening half of the year?
Not really. They definitely, with the whole splitter change and things like that, that really helped the Fords, and it seems like their engine package is significantly better than the field at this point. So those two things together is really tough to overcome, but I feel like we're closing that gap, us especially. I think that the 1878 have always been just a little bit behind, but they're right there with them, and I feel like we're chasing their tails as well. We're right there behind it. So confident that we can be a team that can be pretty tough from here on out.
Next, we'll go to Jeff.
Jeff Gluck from jeffgluck.com. What did you think of NASCAR's announcement that they're not going to use the All-Star package anymore races this year?
Well, I think that was initially the intent, was to just run it in the All-Star and then analyze it for next year. So I'm not surprised by the decision. I think that the race teams probably and the engine builders were in favor of, kind of letting things be as planned, sticking with the current package. And with that, it allows NASCAR to take more time to do some aero testing and figure out how they can make that package better. I did think it was a very good race in the All-Star race. I personally had a lot of fun, but it's not for every racetrack. There's only maybe 2 or 3 tracks that I think it really could spice up the racing at. So I think being patient with it and making sure you get it right the first time is a good move by them.
Next, we'll go to MRN.
Woody Kane with MRN. Denny, you go to Chicago next week. Will it feel unusual, that not being the playoff opener, and how different do you think that track will be in July versus the fall?
Yeah, it certainly will be a lot different. Like that racetrack, I like that you can run all the way from the wall to the inside apron there at that racetrack. So it's a fun one, but I think we'll probably go back with the same notes and the same setup that we had last year and work from there. But yeah, certainly with the schedule change, it definitely will have a different feel for sure.
Go to the gentleman in the back row.
Denny, this track apparently has tough to win twice. It's tough to win once, but what makes this track so difficult to actually go ahead with and get that checkered flag?
Well, there's so many variables, and most of it is strategy driven. I think that when cautions fly, the crew chiefs are trying to make a strategy to put their driver up front. But over the last 2 years, tires have fallen off so much that tires have meant something as well. So I think the strategy aspect is the reason we've had so many different winners at this racetrack. And really, when someone can get out there out front and run their own pace, run their own line, it's hard to overcome that. So I think that that's the reason why we've had so many winners here, and you'll probably continue to see that on Sunday.
We'll come up front to Phil.
Denny, you just mentioned a little thing about the tires. I always hear about how hard this track is on tires, and I'm wondering from a driver's perspective, how much and in what ways do you feel that?
Yeah, it's really hard to accelerate out of the corners is the biggest thing that I notice when the tires start to wear out. You know, you just can't put the throttle down nearly as hard as you can early in the run. As drivers, anytime we have a racetrack that we'll have close to a 4-second fall off, that is going to make for really fun racing, and really it makes it fun without needing restarts. There's going to be so many different strategies, and I remember last year that the 2-car came and put tires on, made an extra pit stop, and kind of motored through the field. And I mean, as a race fan, that's fun to watch, and knowing that you have so many different variables and things that you can try to win this race. So I personally like it.
Go back to Jeff.
Does the percentage of what matters more, car versus driver, change at this track or at road courses? And if so, how much does it? How much are we talking?
I think driver means more than car at this particular racetrack. I would say it's probably 65-35 if I had to put a number on it. Driver more important, and probably on other racetracks more 50-50 in that range. So certainly on tracks like this where it's as technical as it is, and the driver has so many inputs from the wheel to the brake, clutch and gas and everything. We're doing so much within the lap. Different drivers' techniques come to the forefront, and that's why you see, the winners here have been, really the best of the best.
Come up front to Bob.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. Dale Jr. in the booth starting next week. I imagine fans give him more weight, or give what he says more weight than maybe what some others will say. But in the garage, will what he say carry more weight than what others say during a broadcast?
Well, I think certainly. I think that he's very inquisitive and still wants to be part of, what's going on currently. And so I see him as being a lot like Jeff Burton, those guys who, will text the drivers midweek and ask questions about, hey, what's going on here? You're really staying in tune with what is going on right now, not what was happening in 1975, So I think that he'll be good about doing that. And so I'm sure, from what I hear, in the auditions and practices that they've done, they're really happy with how it's turning out.
Go back to PRN.
Mark Carroll, PRN. When Kyle Larson was in here and he was talking about next week's race at Chicago no longer being a playoff race, he said when it was the opening playoff race, he thought drivers were pretty conservative, a lot of give and take because they didn't want to have the big stub of the toe coming right out of the block. And he thinks this race will have more intensity because that's not part of the picture anymore. What do you think?
I agree with that. I definitely do, because the restarts there can be really wild anyway, but they do seem a little tamer because you've got 16 guys with green windshields and spoilers. So I mean, I think that being that it's middle of the year, you certainly will. There's more likelihood of chaos for sure. So I definitely agree with that.
Do we have any questions upstairs?
No questions upstairs.
Thank you. Any additional questions down here, Bob?
I also want to hop on what I was asking. If Dale Jr. criticizes you during a race, how much will that blow up your Twitter feed?
I've been very good this year about not replying to mean people, and y'all should do the same. When you see negative, I'm making a ploy right now to every driver, every team owner, every NASCAR executive, and every media member, stop replying to people that make nonsense comments. They have 16 followers. Don't give them your 100,000. Do not give them your 100,000 as their stage. No one will ever see their comment. Just brush it by. Talk about the positives. And I'm not a positive guy. How do you ignore it? You just scroll by it. Forget it. That person doesn't exist. They're an admirer that has lost their way.
All All right, I think we're going to end on that note, guys. Thank you,
All
Denny. We are joined now by Matt DiBenedetto, driver of the number 32 Hartford Gold Group Ford. Matt, you've had 3 career starts at Sonoma. What have you learned from those previous starts that's going to impact your strategy for Sunday?
A lot. Definitely keeping preferably all 4 tires on the asphalt for most all of the races is a big one. If you can do that and put together a smart, smooth race and have good pit strategy, that's a big deal here. So fuel strategy, pit strategy, that's big. And obviously I have plenty of seat time around here now to where I don't have to go through any of the learning curve like some of the younger guys may have to go through. So that's nice, and you just learn little bits about the strategy that can help put you in position to be there, at the end.
We'll open it up for questions. Go to PRN in the back.
Mark Garrow, PRN. Matt, we just had a little fun with Denny Hamlin in here, and he was pleading with everybody within the industry not to answer the haters that have 16 followers, and we pump it out to a few million people. You have a lot of fun on Twitter. I mean, why have you taken to that, and what are you trying to do when you have that kind of fun on your social media?
Yeah, the people say things which are big compliments to me. They'll be like, "Oh man, Matt, the king of social media," or saying I rock social media, things like that, which is a great compliment to me. I appreciate people saying that, but it's funny because when I'm active on social media, but none of my stuff is planned. So basically, I just want people to feel like they're friends with me on social media, and my plan for my all my social media is to have no plan. So having no plan, I guess, works out. But in the end, though, it keeps all my stuff natural and organic, and I just want to share my life with people, whether it's my funny side of messing with my wife or pranking her, or the fun things we'll do at home, or like the good positive things like this past week. I shared a video with everybody. That's something that got brought to my attention of a kid that's a family friend of ours that has muscular dystrophy, and I'm going to try and help raise the rest of the money for him to buy to get him a wheelchair on tracks so he can go outdoors and do the things he has a passion for. And so try and share fun side, the things that just spread a positive message and try and help people. And then on top of that, obviously my serious and competitive side, where I work my whole life to do this, and this is my only passion is racing. So it's just it goes well sharing all those things.
What's the funniest thing that you feel you've ever posted, or maybe got you in the most hot water? We'll put it that way.
Oh man, luckily I haven't really. Oh, the one that, I don't know, it wasn't necessarily got me in hot water or anything, but got the most backlash maybe was when I posted something about, anything that I ever post about Kyle Busch. Good, bad, and different, because I like Kyle a lot. And I've actually become a big fan of his because I like his personality for the sport. Person, not that I would. I've said something like, "Oh, not that I would act that way," and then people will like take that and go crazy and be like, "Oh man, oh and then I'll get backlash from that. I'm like, no, but I'm a fan of his. So then if I tell people like, "No, I think he's great for the sport. I love his personality," then that'll get backlash too, just because you get people that either die hard love Kyle Busch or just die hard hate Kyle Busch. And me personally, I'm a fan of him because I like anyone that just shows their emotion and are true to their self, and that's who he is. And so those are the things. I've posted a couple of things about like Kyle Busch, and sometimes I'm like, "Oh, let's see what this gets." It's funny. I just comment like as a fan, really, and I'll say, "Hey, man, he's good for the sport," and then they'll be like, "Oh, screw you, Matt." So those are the funniest ones.
Let's go up front to Bob.
Bob Hockers, ESPN. Did you want to see the All-Star package and other races this year because it might give you a better chance for, a really good finish, or were you like, don't add any expense to a team that's a small budget team?
Speaking of questions that could get me in hot water, I'll leave it to Bob. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's a good question. I personally, just strictly as a driver, I liked it at the All-Star race. I did. And if we did it once a year at the All-Star race every year where it's short segments and the field isn't going to get broken up and things like that, then I think it's fun as a one-off deal. If we had to do it at these regular races, like long races, we had to go that slow, on a consistent basis, absolutely not. I would not want, like Kyle Larson said it best. He said, hey, it was fun for the All-Star race. I wouldn't want to go this slow all the time, though, because you want to see, at the end of the day, I want to see the driver talent mean the absolute most. That was fun and exciting and a one-off deal. The All-Star race is perfect for that. But for our regular points races, if it were me, I'd want the cars to have 1,000 horsepower and no downforce and be impossible to drive just because, so then I know no yo-yo from the truck series or some new guy I don't want any of them to be able to ever hop in my race car and go the same speed that I can. I want the Cup cars at the premier level to take as much talent as they can possibly take, to drive. So that's me personally. So All-Star race, for sure, is a great idea. Kudos to NASCAR. I thought they did a good job, and amazing how well of a race it put on for just a short notice type of deal. But for, on a consistent basis, no, I want them to be very hard to drive at the Cup Series.
Next, we'll go to Jeff.
Jeff Gluck from jeffgluck.com. Matt, how much, let's say there's a certain percentage at a typical race of an oval race of what percentage is the driver, what percentage is the car. How much does that change at a road course? How much more goes on to the driver?
I would say, it's hard to give like a percentage. The driver is, all the drivers in the Cup Series are all, very good. But the road course, I feel like you can not really make up for lack of car, but you can maybe be more consistent and be very smooth, have smooth shifts and just be a very solid and lay a lot of very consistent laps down. And you can outrace some people there. So the driver can make, probably maybe 10 or 20% more difference maybe at a road course than another track. You can't really crank a whole ton of speed out of it. You can't, like David Reagan was in an MWR car and was telling me, he's running like fifth a handful of years back. And then, the next year he was with, I think, BK or something, and he's 25th. And he's like, I'm not driving the car any different. So I don't think you can make up for lack of speed in the race car, but you can put together a smart race, keep your nose clean, because people are going to be tearing fenders off. It's like a short track. And you can do a lot of things as far as how you put your race together from the beginning to the end and be smart and have good pit strategy and have a better result than at an oval track. Sorry if that was a long answer for that. But
Right here.
This track is always described as being technical, whereas Watkins Glen is all about the speed. What do you think are your strengths here on this particular track?
Yeah, I like I grew up racing short tracks and a lot of bumping and banging, and that's just kind of my background. And racing a stock car at a very choppy little technical road course that races like a short track kind of fits my driving style because I'm okay with the bumping and banging and moving people out of the way. And so I feel like that's fun and brings me back to my, even though it's a road course, brings me back to the feeling of my old short track days where all bumper to bumper and, you're there's not really a straight panel on the car after the race. So that's always fun. I'd say my weaknesses here would be that I have an Italian temper, and so I try and keep cool during the race, but it's very easy for a lot of us to lose our cool, and people are blocking you or move you out of the way. It's hard not to just crash people back or send them right out of the way. So you got to save those types of things for the end, as mad as you can get. But tempers can flare big time here.
Do we have any questions upstairs?
Matt, Justin Schuler with Speedway Media. This is actually the first time in 31 years NASCAR has had 3 road courses in the schedule, with adding the Roval coming up in the Chase. What's your thoughts with those directions, with adding some more road racing in the schedule?
I think it's fun. It's going to be a cool change when we do go to the Roval that they added there, so that'll be neat. I love going to some of these road courses. Like, I've always wished that Mid-Ohio or Road America was added into the Cup schedule because road courses are just so much fun. But yeah, it is fun to have a few of them because 3 out of the season is nothing overbearing or anything like that. And I think all of us I don't want to speak for everybody, but most everybody enjoys the change of going to a road course occasionally. So I'm, excited that we, on top of that, have another one just because it's just a change in pace for us.
Any additional questions?
No further questions.
All right. Thank you, Matt.
Sweet. Thank you.